right, welcome back, folks. Oh, that's a little bit close. There we go. All right. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to be in as Esther, chapter 5 today. In the book of Esther, it's in the Old Covenant. It's one of the historical books in the Bible. And excuse me, it's talking about a time when Israel was in captivity. Originally, Babylon took them into captivity. Uh, well, as far as Jerusalem goes and Judah, it was 586 BC. And during that time that they were in captivity, a 70-year period, Persia took down Babylon and became the world kingdom, if you will. And so now they are in Persian captivity. And there's a threat has come against the Jews because um, of Haman and Mordecai. Now, Mordecai was a Jew, Haman was Persian, and Haman, I'm sorry, Mordecai was the guardian, if you will, of Esther. And Esther was a Jew who was chosen by the king to be his queen. And so Haman has it out for the Jews because he's mad because Mordecai would not bow to him when he would ride by in his royal robes on his horse. And so he got jealous. He got upset with with Mordecai. And and he kind of tricked the king into making a proclamation that all the Jews throughout the kingdom should be killed, should be wiped out. What he didn't realize is that would include the killing of the queen. And so this whole plot is going to come to a head here in chapter 5. So let's get to reading on it and see what happens. Now it happened on the third day that Esther put it on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the king's palace, across from the king's house, while the king sat on his royal throne in the royal house, facing the entrance of the house. So it was when the king saw Queen Esther standing in the court, she found favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. And so that had to happen so that she wouldn't be killed. If she entered without the king's permission, uh, without him calling her, then she could be put to death. That's how they did it. But if he held out the golden scepter, then she would live. So that's what happened. I'll read it again. So it was when the king saw Queen Esther standing in the court that that she found favor in his sight, and the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. Then Esther went near and touched the top of the scepter. And the king said to her, "What do you wish, Queen Esther? What is your request? It shall be given to you, up to half the kingdom." Well, he really likes her. See how women can have an effect on men? I'm just saying. Anyway, um, so Esther answered, "If it pleases the king, let the king and Haman come today to the banquet that I have prepared for him." Now, remember, Haman is the guy who wants to kill her and wipe out the Jews. So she's setting him up. So here we go. Then the king said, "Bring Haman quickly, that he may do as Esther has said." So the king and Haman went to the banquet that Esther had prepared. At the banquet of wine, the king said to Esther, "What is your petition?" Yeah, I was in the right place. What is your petition? It shall be granted you. What is your request? Up to half the kingdom. It shall be done. Man, he really had an eye for her, I'll tell you. Men lose their minds when they really, get enamored and fall deeply in love with a woman. Uh, Not really, but just they would do anything for that woman. I'd do anything for my wife, you know. Then Esther answered and said, "My petition and request is this. If I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it pleases the king to grant my petition and fulfill my request, and let the king and Haman come to the banquet which I will prepare for them, and tomorrow I will do as the king has said." So Haman went out that day joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, and that he did not stand or tremble before him, he was filled with indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman restrained himself and went home, and he sent and called for his friends and his wife Zeresh. Then Haman told them of his great riches, the multitude of his children, everything. Wow. Talk about vanity. Everything in which the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above the officials and servants of the king. Moreover, Haman said, "Besides, Queen Esther invited no one but me to, to come in with the king to the banquet that she prepared, and tomorrow I am again invited by her, along with the king. Yet all this avails me nothing so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate." Then his wife Zeresh and all his friends said to him, "Let a gallows be made 50 cubits high, and in the morning suggest to the king that Mordecai be hanged on it. Then go merrily with the king to the banquet." And the thing pleased Haman, so he had the gallows made. And the plot thickens on this one. That was the end of chapter 5. Now, did you catch all that vanity coming out of Haman? How, I mean, I my mind is going to videos of people I've seen in our day that it was all about them and all the vanity that went along with it. And one little thing goes wrong and they just lose it, you know. I mean, that is the height of pride and arrogance and vanity that Haman has there. But don't worry, God's going to take care of this little deal, this little situation. And there's going to be a big surprise in the book of Esther. All right, we're going to go to Psalm 120. We finished 119 last time. Psalm 120. It's a short one. Remember, the Psalms are songs, poems, lyrics to songs that are sung, and this is a short one. This one is a plea for relief from bitter foes, a song of ascents. In my distress, I cried to the Lord, and he heard me. Deliver my soul, O Lord, from lying lips and from a deceitful tongue. What shall be given to you, or what shall be done to you, you false tongue? Sharp arrows of the warrior, with coals of the broom tree. Woe is me that I dwell in Meshish, that I dwell among the tents of Kedar. My soul has dwelt too long with one who hates peace. I am for peace, but when I speak, they are for war. And today there are obviously his enemies that want to take him out. So that's Psalm 120. We'll go to Proverbs. And this is while I'm doing these videos, it's actually Thanksgiving week. Well, coming up on Thanksgiving week. Tomorrow will begin. It'll be Sunday tomorrow, so it'll begin Thanksgiving week. All right, 22. Okay. So Proverbs 22. Let's get some wisdom out of Proverbs. Try to stay in Proverbs. If we read it enough times, it'll really sink into our minds. All right. Proverbs 22, little pithy sayings of wisdom coming out of Proverbs. Many of these were written by Solomon, by the way. All right. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver and gold. A good name would be referring to a good reputation, for example. The rich and the poor have this in common. The Lord is the maker of them all. So we're all made in the image of God. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. That one can easily apply to all of the scams that are happening in our day and time, where the phone scams and the email scams and all the text scams that are going around, where these shysters steal people's money by deception. Um, be prudent and foresee the evil before it comes. I see, by humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor in life. Humility goes a long way. It does. I know that some people perceive humility as weakness, but in reality, it's not. Thorns and snares. Well, let me say something about humility before I get back to that one. Humility doesn't mean being a doormat. Humility is power under control. I'll say that again. Humility is power under control. Okay. Now, thorns and snares are in the way of the perverse. He who guards his soul will be far from them. Verse 6, and this is one that's quoted a lot by Christians. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. The rich, in verse 7, the rich rules over the poor, and the bar is servant to the lender. There's two that are quoted a lot by Christians in a row. Um, so training up a child in the way he should go, you know, it begins early. It begins early when the children are very young. You have to start teaching them. You have to start teaching them how to have manners, teach them how to respect other people, teach them how to treat other people well, teach them how to have character and integrity and to live in a way that is honoring to God. Those things have to be taught when they're really, really small. The other one is the rich rule over the poor. And I mean, who's going to argue with that one? I mean, all of this talk these days of, the rich being so mean and nasty and evil toward people, they're not. They're not always like that. But a lot of that talk goes on. And the borrower is servant to the lender. And that's true. You order not order, you get a loan from a bank, or you laid the credit card down or something like that. You're now beholden to that bank or that credit card company until you pay that off. And they can hold it over you and they can kind of mess with your life a little bit. So you don't want to be in that position at all. Yet everybody is. We live in a debt economy right now, and it's a shame. And people struggle with finances, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because we live beyond our means. If we have to make payments to afford something, then we can't afford it. That's how I live. If I have to make a payment for something, then I cannot afford it. If I can't pay cash for it, then it's beyond my budget. And that's how I see it. He who sows iniquity will reap sorrow, and the rod of his anger will fail. He who has a generous eye will be blessed, for he gives of his bread to the poor. Cast out the scoffer, and contention will leave. Yes, strife and reproach will cease. Excuse me, I had to crack my neck. He who loves purity of heart and has grace on his lips, the king will be his friend. The eyes of the Lord preserve knowledge, but he overthrows the words of the faithless. Oh, here comes the lazy man. The lazy man says, there is a lion outside. I shall be slain in the streets. In other words, he'll make up any excuse to get out of work. The mouth of an animal. I'm sorry, I misread that. The mouth of an immoral woman is a deep pit. He who is abhorred by the Lord will fall there. Foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. The rod of correction will drive it far from him. So discipline a child and be consistent with it so you can drive foolishness out of away from him. He who oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he who gives to the rich will surely come to poverty. What would be the pressing of the poor? That's easy to understand. To increase riches, right? Think of the slumlord that takes advantage, or someone who has a lot of money takes advantage of the customers, or whatever it might be. But what about he who gives to the rich? How do we give to the rich? Lay down the credit card, borrow that bank loan, make that $1,000 a month car payment, or F-350 Ford pickup truck payment. That's how we give to the rich. And it says if we do that, we will surely come to poverty. So there's some economic wisdom for you. Um, don't want to do that. Now, this next part is sayings of the wise. Incline your ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply your heart to my knowledge. For it is a pleasant thing if you keep them within you. Let them all be fixed upon your lips, so that your trust may be in the Lord. I have instructed you today, even you. Have I not written to you excellent things of counsels and knowledge, that I may make you know the certainty of the words of truth, that you may answer words of truth to those who sent you? Do not rob the poor because he is poor, nor oppress the afflicted at the gate. That'd be the gate of the city where all, the elders of Israel they'd hang out at the gate of the city. That would be like the elderly men and the politicians, if you will, of their day. The rulers of the city would be hang out at the gate. For the Lord will plead their cause and plunder the soul of those who plundered him. So those who take advantage of rob the poor and take advantage of God will deal with those people because he takes care of the poor. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man do not go, lest you learn his ways and set a snare for your soul. Wow. Wow. Yeah, so that kind of anger is toxic. Don't be around it. Do not be one of those who shakes hands in a pledge, one of those who is surety for debts. There's the debt thing again. If you have nothing with which to pay, living beyond your means, right? Why should he take away your bed from under you? Why should he repossess your vehicle if you don't owe him for it and you're missing payments, right? Do you remove the ancient? Oh, nope, let me go again. Do not remove the ancient landmark. Landmarks were property lines, right? Which your fathers have set. Don't move the property line, okay? Keep it where it is. Don't move the standard, if you will. Keep it where it is. Do you see a man who excels in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before unknown men. Good instruction for us when we work, especially when we're working for others. Do the best job that you can possibly do. And frankly, don't get caught up in all of the negative and toxic attitudes that you run into at work sometimes. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of this channel. I hope it's a blessing to you, and we'll see you here next time on the C Files, right after you like and subscribe.